All right, hi guys. It's Jac Bowie here with Sasha and Jayne. I'm sure these are some friendly faces that you guys have seen in the student group. Sasha's done a lot of work for Darling Don't Panic, but she also, outside of Darling Don't Panic, has had a lot of experience around weddings. So I'll get you to introduce yourself in a sec. And we've also got Jayne, who you'll all know from doing content at Wedding Academy, but also she's got a really strong background in sales and in social, obviously. So, Sasha, why don't you give us the lowdown on, your background and, where you fit in when it comes to weddings?
Sure. Well, I guess I studied weddings and events quite early on. I jumped into the events space when I was about 18 and have pretty much been in that space ever since then, working predominantly in resorts and hotels on the east coast of Australia and overseas in Abu Dhabi and Vanuatu. And I think it was the point that I was in Sydney. That's when I started doing the certificate and the diploma course with the Academy. So really kind of enhancing that styling side of my expertise, which I already had the planning down pat coming from a venue background, but really wanted to take it to the next level with styling. Since my career in hotels and resorts, it's really moved more into that freelance space and doing weddings one-on-ones with the couples and, doing some work with Darling Don't Panic as well as some sales along there as well.
Cool. And Jayne, I know that, you're in the social space, but you've also got a strong history in sales as well, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yes, I am in the social space these days. And to be honest, I didn't think we were on video today, so I've got my social head on. Yeah, I come from a sales background of 35 years actually in fashion. So both online and sort of, direct fashion. So yeah, I've got a few tips here and there, definitely.
Awesome. Look, I'm sure you've been able to apply some of your sales experience to social as well when you
100%.
copy and doing your visuals, as you call them.
My visuals.
Yeah, cool. So look, I guess a bit of a big topic around wedding business sales is kind of that overarching sales funnel that businesses have. Some people really, really excel at it. And, they've got a well-oiled machine where they've got lead magnets and ad campaigns and things funneling in and, a constant stream of leads. And that's, I'm sure, where we all want to be. But, I'm just like most of us. I've got leaky funnels and trying to work out, better ways to tighten those up and to make sure that, that we're not losing leads and that we're doing the best possible, level of service and onboarding, all that sort of stuff. So they find us, we get them in and we convert them. So I thought we might kick off and talk a little bit first. Sasha, you've worked intimately with my business, Darling Don't Panic. It might be a good place to start that we sort of talk through our general sort of sales funnel there. Do you want to go through what you know about it?
Sure. I guess the website's probably the best asset. It looks great. It feels great. When people land there, the information is available to them up front. They can build their own package, which I think a lot of people just want the information at their fingertips. They can, as I said, they build their own proposal, whereas a lot of other companies, they have to fill in a form, send it off, wait for the business owner to get back to them. So it's really that kind of instant information. Yeah. And then you drop into a lead catcher and, the business is set up with a whole lot of automations as well, which makes it really kind of easy to connect with the brides quite quickly. Then once they download the package with the website and the details, they get a text message as well. So it's really personalized. And they've got that approach, and then they've got direct contact to us. And we always encourage that they book a call and have a phone call with us directly, so we can really answer any of the questions that they have. And moving forward into the onboarding process for the bride and grooms, it's really quite automated from there as well. So whilst things are automated, it's still very much that personalized service. They still have a touch point. They still get introduced to the planner. So it's a really quite a seamless, cohesive process while still providing that top level service to them as well.
I think that's a really important point. You know, most of us are getting good at that sort of automation and workflows and, you know, follow-ups and whatnot, but it's super important to inject your personality wherever possible. I'm fine with that when I'm on a call or I'm on a Bonjoro or, you know, I'm DMing someone on Instagram, but I know for me, I really struggled with that sort of copywriting when it came to the website and came to, you know, the actual emails that we send people. So I ended up working, I'm sure you guys will know Taylor, who's got Source Co. She's an incredible copywriter. And I went to her and I was like, help, I can't write it to sound like me. I know, like, I can say it to sound like me, but I can't. So we got a lot of help with that, and I think she did an exceptional job. You know, as people go through that website and they go through the emails that are automated, they sound the same. It's the same personality. You know, it's fun, it's informal, it's all about being your wedding bestie. You know, it's not this kind of stuffy, you know, really formal company. No, we're here to be your wedding bestie, and we're talking to you consistently like that, whether you're on a call or going through an automation. Cool. We will talk about sort of other experiences, because I'm sure you've got a few other wedding businesses that you've worked with, haven't you? We won't name them, but Sasha, you could give me some variations on sales funnels, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like lead magnets, you know, for a bride, they don't really want the kind of tangible thing. They actually just want the information at their hand. But I found to be the best asset sort of over the last couple of years is that social proof. Is they want to see Instagram that looks beautiful. They want to have the wedding of their dreams that other people have had. And there's a lot more community conversation happening around as well. So what I've seen really works really well to get people into your funnel is having the really potent conversations in Facebook groups, being known as the expert in weddings, being seen, even sharing photos in those groups of other weddings that have happened, and having other brides actually be your best asset. So if you've done a really amazing wedding and they've had a great experience, when people are in those Facebook groups saying, I'm looking for a wedding planner in this area, and it's great that, you know, we have planners across most areas, that past brides are saying, check out Darling Don't Panic. And, you know, people seeing that FOMO, they're like, oh, you know, that bride had a really great wedding with Darling Don't Panic, so now I'm going to reach out to them. So I definitely see that happening. And I feel like that's going to happen a lot more. People want the social proof, and they want to know that other people have had a really great experience. They don't want to take a risk on their wedding with the company that they don't know anything about. So having known somebody else that's had them as a planner, and makes them a little bit more comfortable with making that decision and that investment.
I think there's nothing more powerful than these kind of client testimonials, 100%. But also, and sorry, Jayne, just you gotta fight to get a word in.
No, you guys go for it.
Talk underwater.
But I also think, for me as a wedding planner specifically, and you know, other people that will be watching this, maybe florists or caterers or celebrants or whatever, but for us, it's that venue recommendation. They seem, I don't know if this is consistent across the world, but for us, it's like they go to the venue, that gives them the date, and then they're coming to us. And when that happens, if the venue's gone, we know a great wedding planner, they're not even going to look around. It's like done. It's a done deal. So I think it's really underestimated. You can do all these ads and you can do all this social and all the rest of it, but all it takes is that venue, which you're probably going to make that decision before us in our situation, we find. And then referring is, it's a done deal. And, you know, and down the list would be these other sort of vendor recommendations. You know, if someone says they're good to work with or whatever, you know, it's very, very powerful. The other thing too you touched on was like reviews. Yeah, I think it's interesting when I do SEO research to see, you know, how, and this is in both businesses, in Wedding Academy and in Darling Don't Panic, but to see the kind of terms that people are searching for to find us. Darling Don't Panic reviews or Wedding Academy reviews is like the number 2 most searched term in relation to our business. Yeah. So, you know, there's absolutely proof that people are looking for that, and they're looking for that, you know, like right at the top of the process.
Particularly when you're searching online or anything like this. And Jac, this is where I've talked to you about personal profiles as well. You know,
can I hide now?
Personal profiles and all that sort of thing. You know, you're connecting with someone, be it online or through, website, or, they see your Instagram page and it looks pretty and it looks fabulous or whatever. But your personal profile is really raw and what they need to gain confidence. Does that make sense? Do you know where I'm coming from?
Yeah. And it's hard to get that across on an Instagram feed of flowers, isn't it?
No, that's right. But I mean, I think personal profiles online now, whether it be your Facebook page or your own personal page connected to your business page, is what people really, and if you get leads doing, and this is kind of different to what we're talking about, but if you're doing Facebook ads or Instagram ads or whatever, they want to see the person behind it as well. So, and this is why reviews are so important, because nowadays, there's so much rubbish out there, and let's face it, people aren't confident enough. Then that's why they go directly to reviews. And that's also scary too, because you can get some bad reviews through no fault of your own in general businesses. So, but do you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
Yeah. And you know what? A wedding is a massive investment, right?
100%.
And the littlest thing going wrong can be disastrous. So, and that doesn't matter, whether that's the cake or the venue or whatever. So no, I totally agree with you. I know I'm not alone that I actually don't love being in front of the camera. Kylie I think was much better at it with her ABBA videos and whatnot. But a lot of us are like that, right? A lot of us that are wedding business owners are like, I just want to, go behind the scenes and make that picture perfect and put that picture out. And I know what you're going to say. It's the raw content. It's
raw content is so important. People love it. You've got some of these guys on social media, be it sort of Instagram, that are so damn natural, and they're not good looking, and they're not. In fact, it's turning around. I mean, all the the young thing where you had this big fit body and all that sort of thing. It's changing. People are sick of that. They want real, raw. They want to connect to you. So I'm not experienced in wedding planning or anything like that, but I can imagine if I was planning my own wedding, I would be looking for an event planner or a stylist who fits my values. I feel good with that person. And I mean, I get mad at Jac because I said, well, you've got to get online more. You've got to get out there. And she's like, no, I've got to do my hair. So, and I say, yes, but and this is a typical example for people in their own business. It is really important for you to, behind the face of your business, to pop up often. And Kylie did it really well. Yes.
Yeah.
And people grow to go, oh, I can't wait to see what Jac has got to say, or I can't wait to see, what whoever's got to say, because they're natural and they connect. And I think that's absolutely key in this online world.
How you're talking about like business brand values and stuff. One of the points that I thought we might get into was developing a sales process that aligns with your business brands 100%. And values.
100%.
So that can be like as simple as don't be pushy on the sales call. Do you know what I mean? The sales call. Sasha and I had a conversation about this early on when she jumped in and started doing sales calls for me. And I remember telling her, my script, so to speak. And I didn't ask for the sale. And she said, at any point, do you ask for the sale? And I don't know what I said. Was it no? What did I say?
I can't remember the exact words, but it's probably be like, if it feels right, but not in a spot of like, go ahead, just more, how's it feeling for you? What are your thoughts? Right?
I mean, I think you're going to go with how it's feeling and how you're gelling. I mean, we all know of those calls where it's just like, oh, this is a done deal. They love me. I love them. Like, oh my God. And sure, I'm sure my way is probably less confident than your way, Sasha. Like I'll say something like, would you like me to walk you through, the next steps to secure your date or something? I'm a bit kind of wishy-washy.
I'm a little bit more direct, but I generally feel how the conversation's going. If they're kind of, yeah, that sounds great. Yep. Then I'll lead into it. But if it's like, okay, cool, we'll have to think about it. You just vibe the conversation.
Yeah.
And if it's right, then I tell them. If it's not, then I'll wait to see if they've got questions. And generally they say, well, what happens if we decide to go ahead? And then you can lead into, well, this is what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've also found, like, with Darling Don't Panic specific, that it's been really helpful to get the cost out of the way, like for them to go and download that info pack and build out their quote and then book a call. It's kind of like, it's probably a personality decision at that point, because they're already priced in and got a general idea of, it's going to be $4,000 or $3,000 or whatever. Whereas, I don't know, I've seen a lot of examples where the price is hard to find and you've really got to, have that call first. I mean, what's your opinion on that, Sasha? Have you seen that, the reverse? Have you seen that work where it's more sort of, you want to have the call? I suppose if you're a florist or something, you'd have to have a consultation first, right? So it'll vary in that way.
Yeah, I feel like people do want to connect, and they're not really willing to make a decision without having a conversation.
Yeah.
A lot of people are kind of, when we're saying we want to feel if they're actually vibing with what we're saying, they also want to feel like they connect with us.
100%.
If there's a disconnect, or if the way that we do business isn't really what they're looking for, then they're not going to buy, because it's, they might just have this preconceived idea of what sort of package that they want or what sort of services they want. And then it's going to come down to if we've actually answered all their questions.
Yeah.
And if they're not understanding what we're saying or vice versa, then there's just going to be that disconnect, and they're going to just be like, I'm not really feeling it. It's probably not the right person. I think a lot of people intuitively pick businesses they work with because they feel like they're connected with them. There's that like, no one trusts. So if that's not developed in that sales conversation, then they're more than likely not to go with it. Especially with wedding, it's very much about a feeling based.
100%.
Rather than actually the product.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Another point I wanted to talk about: identifying and targeting your ideal client or customer for your wedding business. Obviously with Wedding Academy, we cover that a lot with sort of ideal client avatars and things like that. I think it's super important, right? To just go whatever. It doesn't have to be this, 45-page document that's everything to do with how old she is, where she works, where she shops. Sure, if you want that level of clarity, I'm sure it would be time well spent. But I'm sure just having this sort of top level.
I think top level is key, because otherwise, if you narrow your audience down too far, you won't go beyond that as well. So I think what you're saying is just top level, definitely. Otherwise, you get too deeply involved. But knowing who your audience is absolutely key for any business, be it wedding, food, whatever. You need to know your audience.
And, working that out early on is just going to give you such a good roadmap for everything that you do. Obviously, how you're going to price your things, what services you have, what kind of styled shoots you want to do, or to put out there, or what kind of content you're producing. It's just going to give you that blueprint to kind of go, who am I writing for? Is she going to be interested in that? And is that the right platform? Is she got no attention span like me? Does there need to be a picture for Jayne?
Visual.
Because she's visual.
Yeah.
Cheeky.
I think it's important, and very much like having that person's, who they are in mind when you're doing all of your marketing, because other people will just naturally come anyway because they want to be that sort of person. Whereas if you're talking to everybody, then no one will come. So if you speak to your ideal audience and you target the marketing correct, then that's the people that you will attract. But like I said, other people will just slowly follow because they think that they want to be like that person.
Just so you know, Sasha, I want to do more boho beach weddings, so we might have to do a little shoot. Now that I've moved to Queensland, I'm feeling quite summery, less vineyard and more boho beach, babe.
Well, the wedding I did a couple of weeks ago was very boho-y. It was just at a beautiful Airbnb with a beautiful pool backgrounds, but it was very much under that vibe. We just went near the beach.
Okay. All right. Is AI good enough that I can just punch it in and go, create that for me?
Just use AI art and put a beach behind it.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Do your own styling. Okay, what else did I want to talk about? Creating effective sales scripts and techniques to close the deal. I think this is super, super important. And I'm sure Sasha's got a lot to say about this, especially from like your hotel days as well, not necessarily just weddings. I know when I worked at News Corp and managed a sales team, we had a bloody script. Whether we walked into the shop to sell print advertising or we were cold calling, which didn't love, but absolutely we had a script. And you know, you can as long as you've got that sort of framework and you hit those points, I think it's really, really important. What do you guys think about sales scripts?
I'll let you go first, Jayne, if you like.
I think they're important, obviously, to have some sort of, you know, set script is key, but I also think, you know, you need to identify who you're speaking to or your audience, etc., and you need to modify it sometimes. But definitely, I think, you know, like anything, is sort of a plan, a script is really important.
Yeah, I think framework is probably the key word there, is a framework.
Yeah.
To, I guess, portray that tone of voice for the business and all be on the same page, especially if you have multiple people selling.
Yeah.
However, yes, it is a framework, and you want the potential clients to feel like you're just human. You're not following a script, that it just comes through authentic. And I think over the years, a lot of corporate companies have very much been bogged down in that structure, and you have to say it like this and you have to say it this way, rather than actually injecting your personality into it. And that's actually what people want. They want you to be human and
I agree more.
say it in such a way that doesn't feel like a script. And I think coming so far out of corporate, my sales has changed. It's pretty much done a 180. However, it feels more authentic to me. And even when you do get a sale, it's so much more rewarding than in the past where you're like, I just have to follow the script. So if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. So it's really changed for me, but it just really comes from a more authentic place.
I think another key point is going into that meeting with lots of information, right? So if it's a wedding planning inquiry, make sure on that bloody form you've got what date, what location, what's the venue, is there any other vendors that you've already booked? Because whether or not you know that venue, if you're going in prepared, you're going to bloody Google it beforehand, you know, and you're going to go, oh, and you're going to be honest, right? I'm never going to sit there and lie and say, oh yeah, I've done 10 weddings there. No, you get caught out very, very, very quickly. But you know, to show interest, genuine interest, and to show honesty. You know, I have no issues with saying, oh my God, what a stunning venue. I've never worked there, but you know what? I'm bloody excited to. So, you know, I've just looked here. I've got the whole thing ready in my head. You know, like whatever, just turn it into a fun, lovable thing and be honest. But you know, I guess my point is as much information that we can get out. With Darling Don't Panic specifically, we have lots of different planners in lots of different locations. So finding out that date and the location is super key going into the call, because we're actually going to be selling a specific person. It's not just the same person. So we want to check with that planner. Are you available for that date? Yes, we're going in and we're selling that planner. You know, and in that circumstance, you know, the format that we would have is talk about the business and obviously ask lots of questions about the couple and be listening out, in my opinion, for evidence on why that planner is qualified to take on that job. So listening out for things where they're saying, you know, oh, there's a unique, it's a Chinese wedding and we're having a tea, you know, a tea ceremony or something, and thinking, oh, it's Jess from the Yarra Valley and she's just done one of those last year, and you know, we've got photos of it. I can dig up the link. So listening out for that sort of evidence. So when you're then selling Jess, you're bringing up those things that actually mean something to that person, you know, that they are, you know, I'll let you know that, yes, she's very, you know, very experienced and worked in the Yarra Valley, but yes, she has done, you know, Chinese weddings. She had a beautiful tea ceremony last year, blah, blah, blah. You need to sort of be, I think, listening out for those things so they're relevant. There's no point going in with some sort of pre-prepared bio of you know what I mean, of that person. It's got to be all about what the client wants and matching it up with that.
I think there's real evidence too about, if you like, high ticket items being paid for and based on trust. Now, you could use that for the Wedding Academy too. We're not talking, you know, $500 here. We're talking a couple of thousand, if not plenty more. So trust and, you know, confidence in the group or the person you're about to work with is absolutely key. and
Yep.
the new generation, and that's who, you know, you're working with younger generation, or certainly younger than me. And you know, they're online also savvy, and they know of the rubbish that's out there. So you know, raw, real, connect is so important. So important, particularly for a wedding.
Yeah, I think the listening piece is a really, really important thing to make, is don't go on there. And I think that's a common mistake of new salespeople, is they go on there and just, here's my company, here's what I can do. It's really actually about listening to what they want and using their own words when you're relaying it back to them. Okay, so I'm hearing that you're needing this and this is more important for you. And these are the reasons why we are. Because then you're actually you're hitting the objections before they've even got them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, she actually listened to me. She heard what I said, and she's told me why their business is the right one, because that's what I was looking for. Super
and
important.
you can get really specific with that, because, you know, like I had an example the other day where the budget was a certain amount, but flowers were really important. So where I started was in my head, it's probably $5,000 on flowers, and I ended up it's $12,000 on flowers, you know. So that's a really big difference in terms of like visual and the effect. So you know, definitely rehashing those points if they've made them that they're really, really important to them, for sure. And this leads me on to something else, actually. And I've had a few of these this week, which I just find bizarre. Those clients that write to you that ask for a rough estimate what the entire wedding's going to cost.
What do you want?
I've had two this week. One of them, I wrote back and I gave a few lines around a floral quote could be $500 or it could be $12,000. Your videographer, do you want them for 4 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours? Do you want video as well? Gave her a few kind of examples of just little things that could maybe throw it out, like, I don't know, about 40 grand. And said, to be really honest with you, if anybody came back to you and gave you an estimate for your entire wedding with the brief that I've got,
be working with them.
I would be running for the hills.
100%.
You know, but Sasha, what's your experience with that? I had one for Italy the other day. That'll be a fun one to answer to.
How long is a piece of string? And that's, you know, that I have the conversation. It's like any type of service, or, you know, even when I was in the hotel and they'd be like, well, how much for my event? It's like, well, what specifically do you want? And it's also, even if they want an elaborate wedding, you can still bring the cost down with different ways to make it effective. So I think, is it actually that they're budget conscious? Or is it actually that they just want a really low-key affair? So I think it's probably about asking some other questions to actually really find out what it is.
What their objectives are.
Yeah, what is the main thing? Is it actually budget, or is it actually what it looks like? Because then if it's budget, okay, great. Well, I would be going the other way. Well, how much do you actually want to spend?
Yeah.
Work reverse to that. So if they don't have much for flowers, we can do a lot with, you know, little posy type of vases in the middle of the table that can give quite effective, that can be quite effective, but really be really quite minimal cost. So it's not going to be your 12K.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it really comes down to exactly what they want. Then if they want it elaborate, it is going to have a dollar figure attached to it.
Yeah. And I agree with you from a planning perspective. And I always will reply with something along these lines of, you know, it doesn't matter whether it's 10 grand, 60 grand, 100 grand, whatever you set with us, we will work hard to make, you know, those dollars work hard for you. And, you know, over time, over a detailed questionnaire, over a detailed consultation, we'll be able to draw out, you know, what's the best way to maximize that budget and still give you everything that you've dreamed of. Because it's a bit of a balance, you know, to, champagne taste on beer money. I've been called that a few times. I don't know why.
all the time. All the time.
Anyway, analyzing and measuring the success of your sales process to continuously improve and optimize. This is something I wish I was better at. I know that we've got a lot of moving systems, but to at any month kind of go, that lead came in, how many converted, who converted them, was it a phone call, was it an email? Like, I know that there's things out there that we could all be using to like pull this together. Sasha, does anything come to mind for you that you think is a good tool or system for that, something like that?
For monitoring the conversion.
Yeah, just sort of track sales performance.
Yeah. I mean, in what I've experienced, when you're using quite a few different systems to convert, so whether it's web or if it's direct message or if it is quite difficult. And in the venues that I've worked at, it's actually come down to a conversion spreadsheet and doing it manually, because there's so many different facets into it. So that's how we would track actually what the percentage of conversion is. And I think in different ways to improve the conversion is actually just be consciously considering why we didn't actually get that. And, is it something that we could potentially tweak in our sales process or tweak in our overall business process that potentially we could have got that next time? Also, just realizing that what we offer is not also going to be what everybody wants as well.
Yeah.
Making sure that, if we don't get it, actually acknowledging that were they actually our ideal client? And then, how much time are we spending on that where we could be spending on somebody who is the ideal client too?
Yeah. I know Active Campaign does a lot of it in that, if you set it up correctly in the back end, you can have contacts and deals and assign dollar values to deals and have deal owners. And, you could look back and go, well, Sasha, sold 10,000 and someone else sold 8,000 or whatever. So I know that's one system that a lot of it can be done, but yeah, it's when it's when you're getting the lead on WhatsApp and you're getting it on Instagram and you're getting it on it's managing to sort of put it all into that system. Also just wanted to touch on sales objections. Sasha, if you I don't know, have you got any that sort of come to mind and that are maybe ones that you get often and how you deal with them?
Yeah, the one that comes up all the time is, I just need to speak to my partner, because a lot of times that they have the first one. So it's actually just, rather than being like, oh, okay, actually reframing it. Or, if you did have a partner, I don't, so I can't use this one. However, I use it in a certain way that I understand it's actually a big investment. I would be running it past my partner too. So I totally get where you're at. What do you think he'll say? And then
I like that one.
What do you think he'll say? Because then they'll actually give you the honest opinion. They'll be like, oh yeah, they'll probably be, whatever you want, honey, sort of thing. And then it's about the next thing that you ask. Okay, well, great. When should I reach out to you and see how that conversation went? When's he going to be home? So you're not really being pushy. It's just when's the conversation going to happen? And then let's set a time to regroup again to kind of get the feedback. So that's the one that I like to use, because that generally, I would say the majority, and in any type of selling, they're like,
sweet.
It's actually, I've already made the decision. I'm doing the respect thing and, running it past them because we share finances. So it's, well, how do you deal with that without trying to say, well, actually, what do you want? Because we all know that they're going to turn around and say, well, what do they want? So
yeah,
that's at the end of the day. The women decide, let's be honest. But yeah, that's probably the one that I use the most.
I think too, it's nice to kind of interject that it doesn't have to be a scheduled call back. If you're using tools like WhatsApp or, you're DMing on Instagram or like whatever that person is comfortable with and you're chatting in the majority in that way, that can be your follow-up. You know what I mean? Like I find I personally get a lot of WhatsApp activity on both businesses, and I leave voice messages for people, and they seem to love that and respond really well to that. And that's a great way to interject your personality and get your tone across and all that sort of stuff too. But yeah, cool. Okay. And then leveraging customer referrals and testimonials to drive more sales. I think this one's pretty straightforward. It's get that social proof, get those testimonials, get them on your bloody website, get them on your Instagram, get someone like Cashy to, make them look beautiful and branded and or doing this.
But the testimonials and the referrals, when we post them, like, probably every 10 days, we do that sort of post, and they get so much traction.
Yeah. Yeah, they
Like,
do really well.
really get so much traction.
Almost as much as the lovey-dovey quotes, yeah?
Totally, the quotes. And so it's a lesson for us too. We're sort of moving towards, doing a little bit more of informative stuff and quotations and referrals and things like that. And then the sales will flow through,
Yeah.
because I think constantly selling, and we do quite a lot of it, but we're working on, a few things at the moment. Referrals and everything are absolutely key. Again, it's the same sort of thing as, Google referrals or, reviews. People, they look at these things.
Yeah. And I think someone told me something once, and it was so important and life-changing for me, was if you do not ask for a review, they're only going to leave bad ones.
Yeah, 100%.
You need to ask every single customer, every client
Totally.
to leave a review. It needs to be part of your, call it your offboarding, whatever.
100%, 100%.
Client experience, the follow-up after the wedding, ask for that bloody review.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you're just going to have Google My Business with a few nasty ones on it, and it's not going to do any favors.
I work with some of the big restaurant groups in Sydney, and that they literally, you'll pay the bill, and these are good restaurants, $200-300, and they'll ask you, please give us a great review. It is part of their goodbye.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
The last thing I just wanted to touch on was navigating difficult or emotional conversations with potential clients during the sales process. Heaps of them. I've had some where it's been, he doesn't want to spend it, he doesn't want to make the investment, or my family is saying that I don't need anyone on the day, that there's enough of them that can help, but the bride is really stressed, thinking, oh, I don't want to be thinking about that. I don't know, Sasha, have you got anything to share around that, that's sort of like just helping people with that nervousness and emotional side of it?
The most common one that they say is, I've been told that there's a venue coordinator, so I don't need.
Oh, that one.
I hear this all the time, and I say what you probably say. Well, the venue coordinator is there for the venue, to make sure it's set up, to make sure the food and beverage staff are ready to serve your beverage. The tables look great, the service, all of that. They're not there with you when you're getting your hair and makeup done. They're not there if your hair and makeup person doesn't show up. What if your photographer doesn't show up? What if this? And for Darling Don't Panic, where we include the last 2 weeks of planning, when you actually talk about what those last 2 weeks look like, they're like, what? I'm going to have to take all these calls. I'm going to have to do the funnel numbers. And then they're like, okay, well, it's not
That's
just
a good sales one. I like that one.
It's not just on the day, it's actually leading up to it. And when you paint that picture for them, I always say, wouldn't you rather be going to the spa with your girlfriends, welcoming family in from out of town? Like, who actually wants to be taking numbers, final numbers from venues and all of the different suppliers that you have? So yes, they're also there to make sure that they all show up. Yes. However, sometimes they just want somebody else that's not their family to talk to. I spoke to one only a couple of weeks ago. She's like, I don't care what my family says. I want somebody there 13 hours. I want them there at my bedside, helping me with everything. And I'm like, it's actually.
I get married again. It sounded like me.
It's supposed to be a beautiful experience. And I hear from brides, and I talk to brides after the fact, not ones that we've worked with, of course. And they're just like, I just don't remember it. I was just here, there, and everywhere. And I was going around talking. I didn't even get to spend time with my husband, and all of that. So it's, about putting them in that kind of situation and being like, well, why am I spending all this money if I actually don't get to enjoy it? So spending, $2,000 to $4,000 to have that person to support you is probably actually just more worth the experience that you can't put money on it. Because it's, you're only going to live it once. So actually live it rather than worrying about your auntie that didn't get a vegetarian meal.
I know one cheeky line that I've used before, which it's true, right? But I like to interject it for a little bit of fear.
Let's hear it.
Just that, in the last 2 weeks, it's imperative because, that's when the communication or the comms really ramps up. And they go, that's why you need me for the last 2 weeks, because the communication really ramps up. Once I get that timeline out, That's when everyone knows when they're dropping off the cake, and the finer details are really sort of flying around, going back and forth. But yeah, as soon as you said that communication really ramps up, that's not what they want to be doing the last week or two before their wedding, is dealing with 50,000 emails, which it's reality actually for a wedding planner. It is absolutely reality. I've got everything going off for my wedding on Saturday, I can assure you. But it's that needs to be communicated. It's true. It's not a lie. So, okay. Wow, so much gold in this, so many nuggets. I love this little event. So the last thing, I guess, was live chat. What do we think of live chat?
Live chat with a prospective, if you're a planner, is that what you mean?
Well, just think about it. If you're browsing and you're on a computer, let's think about it first as a user. Do you like live chat? Do you go to live chat?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And do you, what do you like, not like? Do you find yourself searching the knowledge base, or do you just want to just talk to someone immediately?
I just think it's real, it's raw. You're able to speak freely, you're able to be yourself again, we all know, particularly with social media, and I come from that aspect, obviously, but, online platforms, typing and all that sort of thing just doesn't really cut it. And that's why if you look at Instagram as a platform, is one of the most successful, because it's real video, reels, raw photography, all that sort of thing. If you look at younger generation, I have two of them, 24, 19. They don't text.
Yeah.
They just, it's all about FaceTime, it's all about YouTube, it's all about, and they want quick, clear, raw, no, excuse the expression, no BS. It's really important.
Because I find Wedding Academy live chat is really busy. Don't Panic live chat is non-existent. It's probably like not even one a week. But Wedding Academy, it's really busy. I wake up and I've missed half of it because it's in America. So I'm working on that. But yeah,
24/7.
But yeah, I wonder, Sasha, what's your opinion on it from both sides, a user and a business owner?
From a user perspective, I love it. I hate it when they're not online when I'm online, because I'm like, I just want information and your website's not giving it to me. So, even for travel and things like that, if I want to book something to go, I'm ready to go. And if they're not there, I'm like, how am I supposed to have the information?
Do you leave a message?
You can, but then I'm like,
do you leave a message?
Yeah. I put my email address
forever.
Right? Come back to me. It depends how committed I am or where I'm traveling to. But I booked a cruise the other day, and I had to ask them about the configuration in the room. So I actually wanted to know that because they had a sale. So I wanted it. From a business owner's perspective, I can see it work really well to kind of really just nut out those initial conversations. And if somebody does want to make a decision then and there, then you can decide, well, like if you're free, well, let's just jump on a call now. Like if you're just sitting there having a glass of wine at nighttime, and they'll be like, oh yeah, actually, let's have a conversation now. I think people are just very much in that mindset of, I want information now.
Yeah.
And, if they can't get it, then they might go to somewhere else. And I think that's where we're talking about before, when you're talking with someone and you say, well, you don't have to have a definite follow-up date, is even to say to them, oh, like when you're talking to your husband later on tonight, if he has any questions, just text me.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to have that instant access.
Yeah.
It's no big deal for you to send a text back at 9:00 at night, whereas that could actually get you to the sale. But then they're like, oh, she's just a real person and she's happy to answer my questions now. And it's not
100%.
I don't think everyone's all about, I want to turn my phone off, I want to put barriers in place, I want to put, boundaries in place. Well, actually being a little bit flexible as a business owner to provide the instant information could actually put you out in front of the rest of your competitors, because they're
100%.
like,
100%.
Shop, I'm not talking to you now, I'm having my evening time, whereas a text doesn't really impact your evening.
And sometimes the voice messages are even better than the live. Like I know with Wedding Academy, I've got people on different time zones that are, trying to get me on WhatsApp and I'm asleep and whatnot. But I'm finding it's just as good to start to sort of massage them into that way, like to respond with a voice message. They naturally start, if it works for them, they start sending them back, like you and I, Sasha. We could do it all bloody day long. But yeah, I guess it's sort of picking up where are they contacting you, what platform, are they bloody quick on the text? Well, just be flexible and get back to them in a way that they're comfortable with. And I guess, people that are planning their weddings too, like they're probably working full time, and, their opportunity to think about this is when they're on the couch with their phone watching maths or whatever,
As they do.
It's reality, right?
It's reality.
That's when they're browsing Instagram and earmarking stuff on Pinterest and coming across, us business owners. And if we're not there to respond, we could.
It all comes back to that, whether raw, real, responsive. No BS, because I think it's really beginning to change a lot. And I think I like what Sasha said about corporate. I was in corporate for 35 years, and big sales. We're talking, with some of the biggest platforms and all that sort of stuff. And you have this script written out, and you had to follow it. Well, of course, I never did, to be honest. But well, I didn't, because it wasn't.
Like Cashie's no longer in corporate.
Well, I was in corporate for a long, long time, and I did very well. But I think it more so, particularly in the last decade, it's all about raw, real, honest, because people are savvy. Particularly new generation, that sort of bride age group. I don't know, what are they? 20 to 40, I don't know, because I'm not in that industry, but as in where you guys are. But I just think it's so important. Again, I keep going on to Jackie about being present, being upfront, always being visual, and she gets into trouble. So, because I think if Jac was online a little bit more, and I'm talking about anyone who has a wedding business, a styling business, get online. Who's that girl in South Africa? She keeps getting online on video and stuff.
Chelsea's awesome. One of our mentors. Yeah, she's great.
She's awesome. But, I don't even know her, but she's already got me in. Do you understand? Yeah. Because she's present.
Whereas I love this space. The thing that I love about these monthly sessions as Wedding CEO Club grows is that it's going to be lots of us, and we're going to be in a room together. It's not.
You'll get to know everybody.
Yeah, but it's it's not me presenting. It's us having a session as a group, and bringing our own ideas and our own experiences and learning from each other. That I love. You can catch me hosting any of these. I love them.
Sorry, go on. I think people want to see natural as well. There's that fellow on Instagram that I introduced you to watch. I mean, he's got 600k followers. He's goofy. He makes spelling mistakes. He's a coach for social media, and he's amazing. And I said to Jac, I get up every morning and turn off my flight thing on my phone, and the first thing I do is go to Instagram to watch his reels overnight, because he's in the US, and he's informative, he's goofy, he's great, massive following. And that's what we need to do. We need to, we all need to, whether it's a business, a florist, Wedding Academy Live, you need to bring more raw back right in. I honestly believe it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say the takeaways from today that I remember are develop a sales process that's aligned with your business and your values. Take a moment to really identify who your ideal client is before you start pushing out content and
100%.
everything else. Work out who they are first and what interests them and how you're going to attract them. Using sales scripts, but just keeping them as like a framework. So getting as much information before that sales conversation, so you're able to bring those things up and talk really personally and really genuinely. But of course, have that framework. If you need it on a piece of paper or a yellow thingy or whatever, to just make sure you hit those points, then that's great. What else? Building trust and credibility through effective communication and follow-up, but also with reviews and testimonials. People are really looking for social proof, and we talked about how, one of the biggest SEO kind of search terms is Darling Don't Panic, reviews. The Wedding Academy, reviews. So people are searching in that way. It's proven. So make sure that, you know, go and do it as homework. Go and do that for your own business and see what pages turn up and what people say. Because maybe you need to go and sign up for a Trustpilot account, or maybe you need to go and sign up for, I can't think of the other ones. What are the ones with restaurants? And, you know, there's so many of those sites, and you might be surprised where you're showing up and people are leaving reviews about your business that you don't even know about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Developing, analyzing and measuring the success. If you can find a way to sort of track where these leads are coming from and how, you know, what your conversion rates are. Active Campaign was one that I mentioned, but there's plenty of other options out there. And then yeah, just, you know, when it comes to, you know, navigating difficult or emotional conversations, I think that the biggest thing we can do is to care and be honest and make ourselves available, and hopefully that, you know, that'll turn into a sale because that person's really resonated with you. Anything I've forgotten?
No, I think you've covered it.
Covered
I
it?
think covered it, Jac.
Oh my God, I did like I Dream of Jeannie. I don't know where that came from, but
you know, the other thing that I think is really important
yes.
too is, particularly for people who are starting out in business, is to really work out their bio.
Yes.
100%. I think, you know, so many people go, you know, because I'm a content creator, and they come to me and say, Jayne, can you do this for me? Can you do that? I want you to do this. I want you to do that. And I'll say, can you put together a biography, you know, a bio about your business? What is it? I just want one paragraph. And they go, oh, you know, oh, okay. You know, so many people who have their businesses don't have a bio. And I don't think, if you haven't got a bio, it's way too hard for you to push forward and find out who your ideal avatar or audience is.
Yeah, and I mean, it could be a bio, it could be a brand strategy, it could be a client avatar. There's lots of different ways to present that information, but what you're looking for is, who are you? Who's your audience? How do you talk to them? You know, what platforms are they on? What's your unique service proposition?
This is a good idea for a template, Jac.
We've got a couple, but I know it can. What you're asking for can be presented in various ways, and it doesn't have to be a 45-page, you know.
No, nobody reads it.
But why are you doing what you're doing? What's unique about your business? Yeah. Because I know for you as a social content creator, you need that in your head.
100%.
How you're going to write your copy, what pictures are going to attract. I get it. But no, you're right. I think that's key as well. Thanks, ladies. I'm going to wrap it up. That was an awesome chat. We should do this again. Maybe we should have a few more people join us. And
I'm going to do my hair next time.
That's what I would love. From next month, you're hearing it now, you CEO members. I want lots and lots of little faces in here, because I want to hear your experiences and your feedback and your ideas. We're in this together. So thanks, ladies. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Jac.
Bye.
Bye.